Hello everyone, welcome to the Buzz the Prey Manga. Today we continue the latest Global Freeze chapter, rewritten and edited by me in English for a smooth reading experience. All visuals and story flow are personally edited to give you the best manga style storytelling. Support the original creator by checking the official manga. So let's dive right into the today's chapter.
Chapter 26, 15 Boundless Sphere 1 Sword Domain. Zhang Yi's breathing remained as steady as a rock. He sensed the tipping point. That is the limit of energy that the boundless sword domain can withstand. It'll be around that time. Zhang Yi murmured softly. The attack of the ring has begun to slow down slightly. The energy pool inside the module has entered a high load state, and the core markings are flashing warning lights continuously. On the contrary, his netherworld space and the void bathrobe, the eternal judgment sword, and the boundless sword domain have accumulated an astonishingly large, almost out of control, energy surge. One more step and it would get out of control, so Zhang Yi didn't plan to wait any longer. Zhang Yi slowly raised his long sword, the tip pointing directly at the Dao Ring. All the blue swords within the boundless sword domain paused for a moment. The next second, all the light from the energy swords went out, turning into pure darkness that was drawn away and collapsed madly towards the core of the domain. The power of the netherworld surged, the Taishu bathing robe contracted, and all the wind, fire, lightning, gravity, magnetic field, and space released by the Dao Ring were torn apart and forcibly pulled from history, all of which were poured into that one point. That point slowly opened up above Zhang Yi's head. A black sun. There was no radiance, only an extreme darkness that devoured everything. Its very existence caused the colors of the earth to collapse, sounds to be erased, and time to seem to stand still for a moment. The sin of blasphemy. This is the ultimate judgment formed by combining the power of the enemy, one's own power, the origin of the netherworld, and the dark side of this universe. It was as if, on this world painted by the Creator, a destructive stamp suddenly appeared, negating the painting itself. The alarms of the entire module of the Dao Ring blared wildly, and the light of the 18 spheres was almost about to explode. It desperately released storms to offset them, burned flames to counteract them, wildly flung lightning in an attempt to shatter them, and distorted space in an attempt to push the black away. It's meaningless. The black sun slowly descended, not fast, but with an irresistible, absolute will. The moment it completely overlapped with the Dao Ring and the sword domain, the entire world inside the boundless sword domain seemed to be torn from the pages of a book. There was no loud bang, no flames shooting into the sky. All the light was swallowed up in that moment. All elements were reset to zero at that moment. All structures were erased at that moment. Then came a belated, muffled rumble, as if the heart of the entire planet had been struck by a heavy hammer coming from the distant depths. The blue sword wall of the boundless sword domain collapsed from top to bottom, turning into specks of light that drifted beneath the gray-white sky. The hollow center was now just a completely flattened space, devoid of even a single fragment of metal. The Kadongwen has completely disappeared. There are no more modules, no more materials, and no more residue that can be picked up and reassembled by the energy core. Zhang Yi stood there in the void, his Taishu bathrobe receding into a faint shadow, and the sword of judgment slowly returned to its sheath. A gust of wind rose between the trees, and yellow sand slid down again in the distance, as if the world continued to turn after a moment of hesitation. Even Zhang Yi himself had to be careful when using this move, because this attack was not neutral and required him to withstand the impact of the energy. Fortunately, it was a case of injuring the enemy 1,000 while losing 100 of his own, as his Taishu bathrobe was able to absorb this power. The Dao Ring was completely shattered by Zhang Yi, and among the numerous scattered fragments, a shimmering crystal stood out prominently. It appears to be part of a fine crystal plate, with indentations on its surface that allow it to fit into other objects. Zhang Yi picked up the special crystal fragment from the broken ring. Its surface emitted a faint glow. After examining it closely, Zhang Yi discovered that its edges had a jigsaw puzzle-like structure, suggesting it was part of some kind of complex structure. It seems that only when the three key fragments are combined can they be combined into the real key to open the Tower of Trials. Zhang Yi muttered to himself softly. The destroyed Dao ring shattered, yet faintly exuded an aura of revival, as if some ancient power was quietly awakening. Zhang Yi didn't linger. He directly stored it in his alternate dimension, placing it in a special compartment, waiting for an opportunity to study it later. This thing is probably more complicated than we thought. Zhang Yi muttered to himself, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. Although the fragments of a type of magical ring, seem useless, they are extremely special and may bring unexpected results at some point in the future. When he returned to the group, Freeman and Yang Xinxin had been waiting for a long time. Seeing the hint of mystery in Zhang Yi's eyes, Yang Xinxin asked with concern, "Brother Zhang Yi, are you all right?" "No, it can't hurt me," Zhang Yi casually replied. After saying that, his gaze fell on Lu Karen, who was standing next to Yang Xinxin, and he continued, "But I think the mechanical terminal technology of the Sand Raider civilization is very interesting and worth studying carefully." "You mean its combat method that can connect to mechanical terminals?" Lu Karen's eyes flashed with intense interest. "That is indeed very unique, and it may have some untapped potential." Yang Xinxin frowned slightly upon hearing this, vaguely sensing that the technology was not simple. "Brother Zhang Yi, I think there might be a secret hidden behind this. This technology of the Sand Raider civilization cannot be just for fighting." "I feel that way." Zhang Yi nodded. "You're right. Let's have Karen do some research first. Maybe we can find more clues." After he finished speaking, he turned to Freeman and said, "Lead the way. Let's find the second guardian." Having figured out the fighting style of these guardians, he now plans to take them all out in one fell swoop, then enter the area of the Tower of Triumph to explore the true secrets of the Sand Raider civilization. "Okay, please follow me." Freeman's screen displayed an excited smile as he stared at Zhang Yi, his eyes filled with hope. This time, the group encountered almost no obstacles and successfully arrived at their destination, a vast sea area located on the edge of the city. The sea was azure, shimmering with light, and the air was filled with a mysterious atmosphere. Suddenly, Zhang Yi's gaze swept sharply across the distance like that of a hawk, where a huge sphere of light floated on the sea, radiating a terrifying glow. It complements the artificial sun on the horizon, making it look like a miniature version of the artificial sun. Its movement on the sea surface, rising and falling, while the surrounding sea remained calm without a ripple, was itself eerie. "That's it," Freeman said, a hint of seriousness flashing in his eyes. "The guardian of the sea, the boundless sphere." Zhang Yi glanced at him and asked, "I wanted to ask you if you know what its function is. But it's probably a pointless question, isn't it?" Freeman chuckled awkwardly. "Well, I've even abandoned my physical body, so it's not easy for me to survive and gather intelligence in a mechanical form." Chapter 26, 16 Boundless Sphere 2. The boundless sphere floated silently on the sea surface, seemingly unaware of the arrival of Zhang Yi and the others. Zhang Yi glanced at the mirror-like sea ahead and gestured for the others to wait there at a distance. Meanwhile, he himself carried the sword of judgment and eternity, protecting his body with the Taishu bathrobe. An old pendulum appeared in his left eye, and the ability of the second hand of time to predict the future was activated at the same time. The moment Zhang Yi stepped into the sea, he felt a sudden pressure enveloping him, as if the sky was shrouded in an invisible constraint. The boundless sphere stood before them. The instant Zhang Yi appeared in the sea, it suddenly underwent a significant change, which had previously seemed lifeless.
Ding, ding,
Ding. Originally just a giant metal sphere, its surface suddenly opened up with countless holes, like eyes. Countless eyes flickered slightly, filled with a cold indifference of prying and a desire to devour. Everything in all directions, everything around it, is exposed to its eyes. Zhang Yi could feel himself being stared at by a dense crowd, which made his skin crawl. Even those with trypophobia would be triggered. He's practically as eagle-eyed as Zhang Han. "Let me see what abilities you, the Guardian of the Sea, possess." Zhang Yi muttered to himself, his fingers lightly touching the hilt of the eternal judgment sword, feeling a cold vibration emanating from the blade. This time, still chose to remain still and wait for the opponent to activate their ability first. Wearing the Taishu bathrobe, the star mist and aura surrounding her body formed a visible defensive line, while simultaneously activating the second hand of time. At this moment, the passage of time seems to undergo subtle changes. Zhang Yi's gaze gradually deepened, revealing cracks in the timeline and glimpses of fleeting moments in the future. Every flashback to the future accelerates your thinking and decision-making. However, at that very moment, the air in the sea began to become heavy and distorted. Zhang Yi felt an irresistible force suddenly dragging him into the realm of the boundless sphere. Immediately afterwards, the whole world seemed to have been stripped of all color, plunging into a deep darkness. The boundless sphere's ability: 7 emotions and 6 desires. This extremely powerful domain ability can profoundly influence a person's emotions and mental state, directly triggering the inner suicide mechanism. Zhang Yi felt an endless despair spreading through his body. His breathing became rapid, and his heart felt as if it were being heavily pressed down, as if each beat was a signal of death to him. I saw. A flicker of confusion crossed Zhang Yi's eyes, followed by a sudden acceleration of his thoughts. Seeing his own future, the station is in ruins, and everyone around him has fallen. The person I love most died tragically beside me in the most cruel way, and the manner of their death was extremely gruesome. He saw his woman being turned into skewers, saw the aliens devouring Uncle Yu's corpse, and saw Fatty Sue having his navel set on fire and being released like a sky lantern. He watched as the perfect fortress he had spent nearly 6 years building was easily shattered. He saw that everything he had accumulated in this world over the years had vanished into nothingness. Standing on the scorched earth of the Huashu kingdom, I felt only darkness obscuring the sun. When I looked up again, I saw a face that was somewhat familiar, yet strangely unfamiliar. The sin of greed, the face of mammon. Just like the scene when they tore apart the heavenly palace during its invasion, this time has been completely revived. It is huge and dark, and all you can see is a huge mouth that occupies most of the face, with fangs showing, opening and fiercely biting downwards. The entire universe collapsed amidst the cataclysmic destruction. The once glorious light was completely erased, and all hope vanished into nothingness. In this boundless sphere, all beauty, light, and hope are swallowed up by endless darkness. Suddenly, in the endless darkness, a ray of pure light appeared. The person's face looked very familiar. Zhang Yi paused for a moment before realizing who it was. Zhang Yi saw himself in the mirror image. To be precise, it is a Zhang Yi composed of white light from ether. That kind of extremely illusory existence is filled with indifference and emptiness. The illusory Zhang Yi slowly spoke, his voice echoing from a distant space. Give up all of this. The power you pursue, everything you insist on, is nothing but illusion. You will never be able to change the future. Only by letting go can you find liberation. Return to the ether, and you will obtain the ultimate. Here there will be death, there will be pain, there will be separation. There is no deception, no betrayal, only love and eternity. Zhang Yi's body trembled slightly, and his eyes instantly became firm. No matter how real this image may be, I have already witnessed far too much hypocrisy and deception. Zhang Yi sneered and looked up at the false self composed of ethereal white light. As the saying goes, the poor are poor at midnight and the rich are rich at dawn. I, Zhang Yi, am destined for great ups and downs. Since that's the case, I'll just seek a moment of brilliance. Why bother pursuing eternity? Even if I die and my soul perishes in the end, I'll still live a life to the fullest. The voice was full of power, a kind of unyielding will, burning in the endless darkness, challenging the false will. As those words fell, Zhang Yi's heart was torn apart by an indescribable force. The white light of the began to fade, and the Zhang Yi gradually disappeared into nothingness. In this place, it felt as if a century had passed. But in reality, it only lasts for a fleeting moment. Zhang Yi's face remained expressionless, but she subconsciously covered her chest. It hurts so much. Even though I know it's fake, the feeling of realness still makes me feel very uncomfortable. If Zhang Yi hadn't used this second hand of time to see the other party's netherworld domain beforehand and given himself a heads up, he probably would have been in so much pain that his heart would have been ruptured. Heartbreak can be a joke, but when a person suffers immense pain, the structure of the heart can actually break down. You think you can escape my control like this? The sound of the boundless sphere was like a cold laugh coming from the abyss. Its 100,000 eyes glared angrily in the endless darkness, releasing an indescribable sense of oppression. However, Zhang Yi's will grew stronger, his eyes flashing with determination as he suppressed his despair and transformed it into strength. We need to both escape and give up. Since we cannot escape, we should face it and break free from all these false constraints. As consciousness awakened, Zhang Yiming wielded the eternal sword of judgment in his hand. Here we end today's chapter. I hope you liked it. Kindly do also subscribe to my gaming channel. I have to Fina a way to survive. Thanks.
Right, that's it for today's chapter. Tell me in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. If you love manga style stories, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the Buzz Play Manga. See you in the next chapter with more surprises. Thank you.